mom, she left her home when she was 8 years old. She crossed the border because of domestic violence, and they escaped then. And then on my dad's side, he was 4 when they left in the Nakba for the creation of what is now considered Israel. And so it was very, very traumatic as well for him and his family.
Hola, welcome back to the FirstGen Healing podcast. My name is Priscila Luna. I am your host, and I am so excited to bring you guys today's guest and episode. I feel like it's not often where I feel like bringing on someone that their team reaches out to me, because I'll always wonder, are we aligned? Is it something that would be like a aligned collaboration? And with her, when I read what she is doing and what she's about, I felt so grateful and so honored. And so, Colette, welcome onto the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Really, I'm so inspired by what you're doing and making sure that, the message of healing is able to get out to our community. So thank you. Really, it's an honor to be together.
I got the chills. I'm like, I love it. I feel like it's such important work. Everyone plays such a different role, and you're playing a big one. So can you maybe just give the audience a little introduction of who you are?
Sure, yes. So my name is Colette Ghunim, and I am half Mexican and half Palestinian, and I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and I've been working on this documentary film called Traces of Home for the past 9 years, which has really been like a total transformational journey for myself and my family. And so we'll definitely go more into that as we talk. But yes, that's the big project that I've been working on for some time.
Wow, 9 years. I didn't know it had taken that long. Yes. So, I mean, I imagine it's been, and I know, right, that it kind of involved your own personal journey. It's not just creating something. It's really being transformed by it, it sounds like. And is the film out already that people can view, or how can people access it?
So it's on the festival circuit. So we are going to different cities in different film festivals, but it's not online yet. We've partnered with Watermelon Pictures, so hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have some streaming as well.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. That's exciting.
Yes.
Ooh, okay. So you grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Tell us a little bit about that. What was your upbringing like as a first-gen Mexican Palestinian?
Yes. So my parents did not have us raised with like the typical, cultural norms of the food, the language, that all of this was very disconnected from me growing up, that I grew up very American, whatever typical American suburban upbringing. And they did that very intentionally to create this, safe bubble for me and my brother to adapt and thrive. And so I grew up in a very, to be honest, like a very privileged and sheltered middle class upbringing. And so I never really thought about my own identity or even my own parents' stories until I got much older, like around high school, where I started meeting different people. I was mostly surrounded by a lot of white neighbors. And when I went to high school is where I had much more diversity and started having friends from all over. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm not white. I'm realizing, I'm like, okay, wait, I'm starting to realize like, oh, I feel the struggles of other people because it's in my own heritage. And realizing that I was like, oh, there's so much more to this that my parents were hiding from me intentionally. And my mom, she left her home when she was 8 years old. She crossed the border because of domestic violence, and they escaped then. And then on my dad's side, he was 4 when they left in the Nakba for the creation of what is now considered Israel. And so it was very, very traumatic as well for him and his family. And so realized that there were reasons why I didn't have that connection to my own cultures.
Wow. Okay. So in your upbringing, did you not experience discrimination growing up?
I know it's hard for me to say because yeah, I felt like my neighbors just like took me in as when I would go to like
Okay.
these military barbecue. Like it's really crazy, but I would be going to like these barbecues and just like felt like they had a lot of care and compassion towards me, which is totally against all of the divisive everything that's happening right now. That it's like, wow, how did that even exist? Like it feels so not normal. And yet I always did feel inside of myself this wishing that I was, lighter, like blonde, these kinds of
Mm-hmm.
things, that the beauty standards that were ingrained, that's where I felt,
Yeah.
it culturally for sure.
Got it. Okay. I
Mhm.
mean, I think that's actually a positive experience. Like, it's something good to be able to be welcomed in and not
Right.
feel the difference, as it hopefully one day will be, right, for everyone. But I ask because, I had this experience where I grew up in a predominantly Latino neighborhood. And
Mhm.
then in middle school at 11, we moved to a predominantly white and Asian neighborhood.
Oh wow.
And I don't feel like I was kind of like, welcomed in. I
Mhm.
quickly felt the difference, and I felt like I was kind of called out, right, for being Mexican and for being Latina. So um yeah, I think that it's cool to see that not everyone experiences that and has a positive, let's say,
I mean,
experience.
maybe the reason I didn't feel it is because I was so disconnected. Like maybe if I
Mm,
showed up with all my cultural everything, maybe it would have been like, oh, this is a little strange. But yeah, maybe that's also
yeah,
another
that makes
piece,
sense.
that reverse.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
live in your own
What
culture.
about your parents? Did they speak English and they kind of assimilated themselves?
Yeah, my mom came when she was 8, so she has fluent English. My dad came much later when he was around 35, so his English is much more like yeah, not fluent. That he's much more like conversational. Definitely has a heavy accent. Yes.
I see. Okay, got it. And
Mhm.
then do you have any siblings? I don't know if you've already mentioned it.
Yeah, I have an older brother. Yes, that's it.
Okay. So
7
you're the youngest.
years.
Ah, okay. Got it. So tell us a little bit about high school. You start to then be surrounded by more diversity. You start to notice, like, ooh, like maybe, I think it's an important time for identity. So it sounds like that's where it kind of awoken for you too.
Totally. Yes. So in high school is where I started taking Spanish more fully because I wanted to learn Spanish and
Mm.
connect back to like my own cultures. And I joined like the Latino club on campus, and I joined like a debate team that was like called the National Hispanic Institute, and that was where I started becoming much more connected to my Mexican side. And yet, it always felt like, oh, I feel like a phony in all of these spaces because they'd have like
Mm.
like cultural connections and things like that, sayings, these kinds of things. Spanish, which I didn't understand fully, and so I always felt like, oh, I'm not really actually Mexican. And the
I
Arab side,
see.
I didn't know many Arabs or like specifically Palestinians at all in high school. And
Mm.
so it was much more like a time of me exploring my Latinx side for sure.
Got it. Had you ever been to Mexico growing up?
Never, no. Mm-mm. I
No.
didn't go to Mexico or
Okay.
Palestine. Yeah. They like totally
Okay.
disconnected from both.
Yeah, and I imagine, or like, was there family around you, or no, cousins, aunts, uncles?
Almost all my family was in Mexico and like Syria, Saudi Arabia. My only family was my aunt and uncle, but both of them weren't married and had no kids. So
Ah,
it was just us. Yes. Hmm.
yeah. Ooh, okay, interesting. So, yeah, really kind of isolated in that way. So, as you started to enter these spaces, what do you feel like it was something that awoke within you? Was it more so like that imposter syndrome? What was surfacing up?
Mm. So I think the big thing that I realized was that my parents worked to like make sure that I was going into advanced classes, getting into the gifted program, like making sure that my studies were like on par, like very strict. I was very, very strict
Okay.
on all of these pieces. And
Yeah.
when I started getting into these classes, I realized I was like, wait a second, like where are all the Latinos and like the black
Mm.
students, and just like starting to realize that there was a discrepancy from these like more advanced classes to the other classes. And I was like, what is this? And then I began to want to unpack that more of like, what is it that is not allowing them to thrive? And I was like, oh, this is a structural issue. Like this is something that
Mhm.
is not allowing people to be in their full capacity and their full potential because of racism, because of discrimination, because of language barriers of immigrants that not allowing them to get to those levels. And so that's when I started being like, okay, I actually want to unpack this more. And that's when I like joined, specifically I joined the Latinx club to be like, okay, what is this? And I'm getting to meet more people.
It's a huge thing to awaken to, I think, in high school, like
Yeah,
to really recognize systematic issues. And
right. And I think that again, like, this is a very hard conversation because this is very real about like the privilege. And I want to recognize that like this is a very privileged place to be, that my mom had English fully because she was 8, and
yeah,
also that she had her own elitist classist beliefs that like, oh, we have to be at like this level to not be considered Mexican, which
yeah,
it's like, wow, that's really, really hard. That like the shame of being Mexican, like what is that, And so
yeah,
it stings. And it's like, no, it's something that we should be celebrating, like always, no, to just like fit into the Western ideals of what is worthy and who is of value. It's
yeah.
very hard.
Ooh.
Wow.
I just want to name too, like, thank you for taking us there and for speaking on it, because I think we're in a era where like we don't want to say things wrong, right? And privilege is also almost punished in a way. But I think like it's very layered, this conversation and conversations like this,
Mm,
because who doesn't want privilege?
yeah.
But at the same time, privilege has harmed so many,
Yeah. Yes.
So just want to name that. Like, you
Thank
can't,
you. It's
I
good.
hope like, I know it might feel like, oh, this feels wrong to say, or, how will others perceive it? And I think and I hope that I've cultivated kind of a community that is really open minded and knows there's a lot of nuance in all of this stuff,
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah. And it's like, wow, right now in this space of with everything immigration and like just it feels like in decolonization that it's like, wow, what is actual success? Like what have we been indoctrinated into that has made us just live in this shame, which is this healing work that goes
Yeah,
straight into this healing work. Just shame of being who we are.
absolutely.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, it goes deep. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
um, you unlocked a memory that when I too, have a mom who she didn't grow up here, so she didn't have the language, but she is a go-getter. And so she had gotten her degree in Mexico.
Okay.
And I think it was 6 months to a year after she had the opportunity to come here. And so she left that behind. Even though she had gotten a good job, she knew like her opportunities would be limited, so she came
Mm-hmm.
here and started from nothing. She started cooking gorditas in Grand Central Market.
Wow.
And she got another degree here, and she got a master's here.
There it is.
um
Yes. Wow. Wow.
so and because of that, growing up, she was very strict with me. And so I was also expected to like do good in school. But the memory you unlocked is that I remember being in these AP classes and they them being like, "Oh, you're pretty smart for being a Mexican."
Woo. Oh my gosh. Oh
Mhm.
my god.
Mhm. And you're unlocking that because I think as first gens, we don't have time to unpack. At least I never felt that way. I felt like I
Mhm.
always say, like, I think as first gens and our parents, we're sprinting through life. Like, what's next?
Yes.
What's next? Next level. We need to succeed. And so, yeah, like even just sitting with that, I'm like, dang, I remember I used to hear that and I was so proud of being
Yeah.
Mexican. Like I was so proud and I was just like, what the like how can you say that and feel okay with that and that be normalized, right? Because it wasn't just one person. But back then I didn't have maybe the fire within me to defend or the knowing.
It's like, what's actual intelligence? Like, look at what your mom did, you know? Like, she risked it all, the resilience, like, the level of being able to, like, completely change the trajectory of the generations. Like, compare that to what?
Yeah.
Calc BC? Like, whatever. Who cares about Calc BC?
Yeah,
No
yeah,
comparison. Like, gosh.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Oh,
yeah, thank you for, I mean, that's unlocked. I'm like, okay, I need a journal on that because I
yeah.
never really unpacked that. But yeah, maybe like after you started to come into this awareness, what happened next? Like what kind of stands out in your experience that maybe was one of the building blocks that led you to create this film?
Yes. Okay, so I think I should go into college mode now because this is
Okay.
where everything shifted for me. That in high school I had a lot of diverse friends. I had Latinos, I had Indian friends, Asian, white, like black, everything. It was very diverse and everyone was very all together, which was really beautiful. And then I
Mm-hmm.
went to a school that I only applied to. It was Northwestern, and there it was the complete opposite. That everyone was
Mm.
making friends only based on their ethnic groups. That all the
Oh.
Asians would hang out with Asians, Arabs would hang out with Arabs, white people would be in the frats and sororities. And I was like, well, what do I do with this? Because I don't feel a connection to any of these deeply.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I really, really struggled with belonging in college. And I joined like Alianza, which was the Latinx group on campus. And while it was nice, I didn't feel like I was fully accepted again because of my like mixedness, not necessarily feeling like I grew up the same way that they did, but then also not
Yeah.
knowing I don't feel comfortable in like sorority life either. Like that was also just not I was not part of that culture at all.
Mm.
And so I really struggled. And this is where I started to develop a lot of mental health issues around isolation and just like not knowing how to process difficult feelings of loneliness that I was having. And that's where I started to have an eating disorder that really
Mm.
affected my own sense of self worth and self esteem and didn't have any like I started to try to go to like a therapist but they didn't have any scheduling ability like availability and so I was on my own and I couldn't talk to my parents about it because we don't talk about our feelings like that's not what we do with immigrant parents and so it
Yeah.
was a very 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 tough time and so I
Wow.
was like I just need to get out of here and so I started studying abroad. Thank God I was able to travel and so I just like
Mm.
used the entire time of college to just travel extensively. And so I went to Latin America and I got to go to Costa Rica and Peru and like all these places on scholarships from Northwestern, which I would not have been able to afford it otherwise. And that
Wow.
really allowed me to feel like, wow, like what beautiful cultures. And I really started to feel much more connected to my roots by actually going to
Mm.
these places. But Mexico was on the travel ban list, so I couldn't go back to Mexico either. Um, and then I went to
Un-
Egypt. So I went on the other side also to go visit the Middle East and to learn Arabic. And that's when it unlocked my Palestinian identity and cultural roots as well.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. Before we maybe talk about that shift that you were experiencing, I'm wondering like, so you came from this neighborhood that really, or community that accepted you, that, you know, you felt like one of them in a way to the point that it wasn't until high school where you were like, wait, pause. Like, you know, so
Uh-huh.
I wonder like, from that point on, when you experience white spaces, do you feel like you started to see it differently? Like, did the change come from within, or were you now surrounded by different types of white people? I don't know if that question makes sense, but do you feel like it was an internal shift that then caused you to not feel as comfy, or was it also external?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it was a class level now, because these people were very wealthy and like, you know, parents paid trust funds, those kinds of things, that the people at these spaces were, I didn't feel that level of warmth that I did from my neighbors growing up. That maybe because we were all at like, maybe, I mean, we were not at the same level. My mom really pushed to get that house that it was totally above the budget of them. I know now, I understand what they did just to be able to sacrifice to get to live in that neighborhood. But
Yeah.
but that there was, I think it was a class difference that really became very obvious when I got to college.
I
But I was like,
see.
oh yeah, no. So I really got along with the Latinx people who have like gone through struggle. Really, that
Yeah,
it felt much more connected.
I see. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what's interesting is like I feel like every single guest, there's just like a line of connection somewhere. And I think that's something that you and I kind of connect on and we can talk about, because I am sure people listening can also, like, some can also connect with, is that pulling or high jump that some parents do, right, to get to the next level. I feel like the same thing happened with my parents. They bought this home to get us to this neighborhood. But what happens is like they're stretched out to their max. And so I feel like they don't have emotional, energetic bandwidth, unfortunately. And
Totally.
so the foundation that we are raised with is so different than those people around us.
Mm-hmm.
But since we live amongst them, it almost feels like, well, you should be able to keep up because like you're here now, right? Like maybe the perspective of my parents was like, well, you're in this school, you should be able to keep up. And we don't have the knowing that like actually the shell looks the same, the
Wow.
inside doesn't,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Woo.
Yeah.
Yes, but this is unlocking a lot for me as well. Like, wow, yeah, the need to like prove, always needing to prove I belong here. I'm proving I belong here. Like how tiring that is. It's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And not knowing like, no, I don't actually have the same base that everyone has. You know, my parents are exhausted every day. They don't have community because they're choosing to step outside of what they know to be here. They don't have resources, they don't have therapy, right? It's a
Wow.
lot.
And like what an act of love that they're literally doing all of that sacrifice just for us, you know? Like, wow, wow. That's really tough. Yeah, and it's true. Like the
Yeah.
isolation piece is a big one, that already not trusting other people, not trusting their, like, my parents were not as I would go play with the kids and go play with everyone, but my parents were not
Right.
interacting with the neighbors.
Exactly. Mhm.
It was very
Yeah.
different, that they were like, oh yeah, go play. And so
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Yeah. And especially when you see
Yeah.
them back in their homelands, that it's like they're totally different people. Oh, with their
Yeah.
God.
Right, and they don't get to always, or you know, they don't get to be that. And I just literally earlier today I did this what is it called, like hypnotherapy session.
Oh yeah, wow.
It was a group session. It was so cool, and I feel like I knew once I had it, I was like, I was meant to do this right before this conversation, because essentially the point of this session was like, what are you ready to let go of? And
Mm,
so it's a group one, it's not one-to-one, so you're kind of like diving into your own psyche on your own.
mm,
And it was so interesting because for me, like, I felt like nothing was forming, but I started to, like, in terms of memories, we were supposed to go to a memory where these emotions started, and the emotion that came up was grief,
yeah.
just like a lot of grief.
Mm,
So I was like, okay, I felt it in my chest and in my stomach. And then I started to feel like I'm a baby in
ooh,
this,
ooh,
meditation. And don't worry, I'm not going to take you too deep, but
mm.
essentially what I recognized is I've never felt safe, and neither have my parents.
There it is. There it is.
And that was so crazy, because when I felt this emotion, I felt contracted. I felt my stomach like sucked in and my like a weight on my chest, right?
Uh,
And then I realized they're carrying the same thing. They can't give me this feeling of ease and peace because they don't have it within themselves.
Totally. And now look at us doing the work. It is no joke. It is no joke to do the work. But it's like, it's already, even if you know, like, I feel like even the 10% of work that I've done so far has totally transformed my parents. It ripples,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable that, like, oh, I wish my parents went to therapy. I'm like, that's actually not needed. Like, if we do the work, it will connect to their own healing too.
Yeah.
Great job. I to feel that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so powerful. It was like a recognition of like, wow, a lot of the grief that I experience is that when I interact with them, I don't feel that I don't feel held. I don't feel seen, right?
Totally.
And I recognize, well, they don't know how to do that because they don't feel that either,
Yes. That they didn't have that for themselves either.
Mm-hmm.
They navigated. Wow. Very powerful.
So with maybe me sharing that, I'm wondering, like, yeah, take us, you got to travel. So you get to, I think, like, it feels like you're starting to experience the appreciation for other cultures and recognizing their power and their magic.
Yes.
So what did that do within you? Like, what kind of started to seed within you?
It was transformational because I had never been to a place with a collectivistic culture that, like, where everyone just deeply looks out and cares for each other. That I had grown up in such a place of hyper isolation and surface level friendships that having my friends just call me to see how I was doing, that I was like, whoa, I've not experienced this before. Like, my Egyptian friends, I made some of my best friends in Egypt because of that level of care, and also like the affection and the physical affection that also we didn't do that growing up. Like linking arms and all of this, that I was like, wow, this is actually so nice to get to have this level of like friendship. And I think it made me realize, I'm like, oh wait, this is my culture, like, this is actually who I am. And I've always been this way, and yet I had to, like, not show up as my full self. I had to have these walls because it wasn't acceptable in this kind of Western culture of just like the coldness. It's not me. And so I was like, oh, no wonder I didn't feel like I ever fit in, because it wasn't me. And all of us are just trying to fit into this box that's not us. It's not even our culture.
Right.
So of course we're talking about health issues, and it just makes so much sense. The connection.
It's so disconnected from us, and how maybe our, like, our factory settings, right? Like, we almost need to do a reset to get back to them.
Totally.
How beautiful that you got to experience that. And I'm wondering then, like, eventually you have to come home, right? So how was that coming back home, and then, like, maybe feeling that difference?
Yeah, very, 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 very hard, because I still had to finish my senior year on campus. And so I was just like back in it, and I was like, what am I even doing here? Like, I just want to leave the US. Like, I don't want to be here at all. And so it was very, very tough after experiencing that. And so I left. So I left again right after I graduated. I went to work on my first short documentary. I went back to Egypt and lived there for some time too.
Okay.
Yes. And then,
all right, I'm out.
Right. And then it caught up with me of like, oh wait, infrastructure. Oh wait, patriarchy. Like, all the actual cracks in these other cultures. Also, that not any culture is perfect, started to come up. I was like, yes, I see.
Okay. Thanks for bringing that up too. Cause I was thinking that, like, it's easy to fall in love and be like, oh my gosh, I love, but then there is these underlayers. So for example, like, when I would, and I'm wondering what your parents said, but I'll ask you in a second. Like, when I would tell my mom this stuff, she's like, there's racism in our own country, like there is it's like
Yeah.
it's even worse, she said, and I was like, what? Like, no, what do you mean our own people? You're like, yeah, like, it's even worse, she said. So I'm wondering, your parents, you bring, like, maybe you're starting to be like, oh my God, I'm falling in love with everything that I didn't grow up
Yes.
with. What was their response? What, like, did they have to say about it?
Yeah, but they were like, also when I moved back after I went to Egypt, I came back again. I went to go live in Pilsen in Chicago, which is like the Mexican neighborhood, and that's where my mom like grew up. Like, and it was like, yeah, poor neighborhood. And she's like, Colette, what are you doing? She's like, we worked so hard to get you out of this. Like, what? She's like, why are you going to live in this place? I'm like, it's so much better, Mom. It's so much better. So it's so funny, like how we want the opposite of what we have all the time. It's
Yeah.
where do we actually film it?
I went to live in Long Beach, where it was not safe at all. That not Long Beach itself, but there's like a space within Long Beach, and she's like, ¿Qué estás haciendo aquí? Like, what are you doing here? I'm like, it's cheap rent.
With my people, Mom. I'm with my people.
Yeah, I'm like, we have paleteros. I love that. And like, people come and sell tamales in front of my door.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. Yes. Yes.
So you immerse yourself into, these communities. Or you immerse yourself in spaces that you felt maybe more welcome. What did your parents feel, aside from like, okay, what are you doing here? We work so hard.
Right. I think they were confused, but they're like, okay, Colette has to like figure out her own journey of, figuring it out. I think my dad, when I went to Egypt, he did not want me to go at all. Zero. He was like, this is like, what are you doing? It's terrible. Like, he knows what's happening in the Arab world. I'm like, it's not easy. And yet I think once I came back and I could speak fluent Arabic, that he was like, wow, he was actually very proud that I really pursued learning the language.
Yeah.
So I think that totally unlocked a whole other side of our relationship, because now I could actually understand who my dad was. That before I didn't realize, I just thought he was a quiet, reserved person, but it was always the language barrier. Oh my gosh. So that was tremendous. And I think that he was very happy for that, for having me speak Arabic. Yeah. I like to understand his culture. I just understand him much more now.
Yeah, I imagine like you can bond on a different level, and
Totally.
even like music, culture. Yeah. Did your parents keep their story from you? Like, so my experience growing up was like, it was very surface, what I knew about what happened, like their story, but it was just kind of like, you don't know what we've done for you to be here, right? Or like, you can't complain because you have everything. So I almost, it almost felt like they always held their story against mine, and it was hard for me to ever reach the level of like sacrifice they had made. So it was kind of like a big contrast. I'm wondering for you, like, did they ever share their story with you growing up, or no? Did they keep that from you?
So I think I learned about my mom's story later, maybe like around age, I want to say maybe like around 14, 15 is when I really understood it, that what happened with the violence in which she experienced in Mexico. And then with my dad, I knew the story, but I never really registered it until college. I had no idea what the Nakba was. I didn't understand any of it until in this exploration of me trying to find my people. I was like, oh, I see like there's a Students for Justice for Palestine group. And I was like, maybe that's like where I can find the Palestinians. But I didn't know anything. My dad didn't tell me anything about the political situation, like anything. And so I thought it was going to be like a cultural, like a Latinx group. And it was all mostly like white kids that were super progressive, down for Palestine. And they taught me so much about Palestine. Oh my gosh. Like, okay.
That's interesting.
Wild. And so that's when I really got it.
You understood. Yeah. After this, is this when you decide you want to do a documentary about that? Does that come much later? Where does that kind of come into play?
Yes. So as I mentioned, I was doing my first documentary in Egypt, and it was about street harassment in Cairo. And that
Oh,
taught
okay.
me, it took a year, and it taught me like how to make a film, that this was something I really wanted to pursue. And my dad was a wedding videographer, so I was always like around cameras. And so
Mm.
I wanted to go into film after going to my first film festival in Cairo and volunteering there. And I was like, this is amazing, like to get to hear people's stories and to get to go so deep, um, and also have it have social impact. And so I was like, I really want to pursue documentary. And so I made my first film. And then when I got back to the US, I was like, wow, yeah, I've traveled extensively now to both Latin America and the Middle East, but I've never been back to my own places of Mexico and Palestine.
Mm.
And so I was like, wow, what it would be like to like actually get to go back. And then I knew that my parents' stories, like at first that was it, just like the cultural connection, being able to just travel and tell that. And then you shall not be named got elected the first time, and it was like the family separations at the border and um the refugee ban, and I was like, oh my god, like I need to tell my mom and dad's story now because of this
Mm.
discrimination against immigrants and refugees in the US. And so that's what really prompted me to be like, okay, we have to do these trips together and like to tell my parents stories. That was the surface level
I
of what I
see.
wanted to do. It,
Okay, yeah, that was kind of like the focal point is like I'm
yeah.
going to tell their story and travel to their homes. Okay. And it seems like it was much deeper than that, right? There was so much more. So tell us, how did that start to unravel in ways that maybe you didn't expect?
Yes. So yeah, I was at this very surface level understanding, and I had some mentors that were, I was part of a fellowship, and they're like, Colette, like, I think you need to dig a little bit deeper. Like, why are you doing this outside of just the political space? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, it's the political space. I'm like, there is nothing deeper. Why are they trying to force me into something that's not even there? And they're like, maybe you should start going to therapy, like around your own racial identity.
Wow.
Maybe that could help you to unpack more. And I was like, okay, I'm open to it. And so I started going to therapy. And in therapy, my relationship with my mom just kept coming up over and over again, of like my
Mm.
anger and my resentment and how much I could not stand like being in the house with her specifically.
Mm.
And it
Mhm.
was very illuminating because I was like, oh, there's something here that that I need to unpack. And in therapy is where I started to learn about trauma and intergenerational trauma specifically, and starting to understand,
Mm.
wait, like why is she the way she is? Why is this dynamic happening? And what is this anger that's living inside of me that I don't know how to remove? That it just feels like so seated. And
Mm.
so the film became my tool to start unpacking this dysfunction in my home. And the film is called Traces of Home, of me trying to find traces of home in Mexico and Palestine, but not realizing that it was actually me finding home with my family. And that's what I thought. That's layer two of
Okay.
the process of like, okay, me
Yeah.
trying to heal the relationship with my family was actually deeper layer, but it goes even
Wow.
deeper
Even
too.
deeper. Oof.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and can I just mention before we go
Yes,
into the next
yes,
layer
yes.
is I always I receive like imagery, right? And I always think of roots, and
Mm,
how I see it is like in order to expand, you have to ground. It's
wow.
kind of like duality, right? And so it's so interesting that you're saying it, because I think like their roots are broken too,
Mm,
right? In their experience, their roots have been broken as well.
mhm.
So it's so interesting that there's going to be an additional layer. I'm curious what that's going to be, but it does make sense that as you're looking for yours, you don't find it all within them. So what's deeper? Yeah, I'm
Right,
curious.
right,
Oof.
right. So much more. Yeah, I think it was, I realized as I was trying to heal my parents that I can't do that. Like I
Mm,
can't change my parents. That even if I was
yeah.
trying to do this work, like the patterns are so ingrained that that's not actually my role. And that I was like, oh yeah, maybe the film will end with us like all being a happy family and all being best buddies. And it's like, oh, that's not possible sometimes, you know? And so
Yeah.
what I came to terms with is like, okay, well, maybe it's just me accepting home with where I'm at now. And at that time, I was previously married. And I was like, well, yeah, maybe the home is what I'm creating for myself. And like with my husband, and feeling like I was settled with that I was like, okay, well, I've created my own home, and that's me trying to find it. And now I have it with this person. And then everything crashes down. Betrayal, divorce, just like extreme dark night of the soul 2 years ago that completely decimated my entire being. I lost my own sense of home. Like everything just became a total extreme grief, and not feeling like I had any purpose here anymore because I had wrapped up my entire home was in another person. And that was my spiritual awakening, that I was like, oh my God, I was thinking that I could find home in Mexico and Palestine, that I could find home with my family, that I could find home with this person. And that I had to go on this like full circle journey to realize that home would only be found within myself. And it was my spiritual awakening, and that I truly believe that there is a divine presence that was guiding me in this path to go back to my creator, as well as like my truest eternal home. And it was a profound journey of like, yeah, digging into the roots all the way to reach the fullest light of divine love that I have ever experienced. And that was the healing journey that I had to go on. And that's what Traces of Home became, the deepest finding of home. Yeah.
Wow. Woo. Give yourself a hug, mujer. Oh my goodness. I call them abracitos, you know, give yourself an abracito, because wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a
My
lot.
gosh.
It's no joke when we go on this journey. The healing is not rainbows and butterflies.
It's not. It's not. And it's almost never the result we think, you know, like it's not linear. It's not the result that we think. I think like true awakenings happen when everything crumbles, and that's so hard, you know?
Totally. Yeah, it's always through the suffering. It's always through the suffering.
Yeah.
Get to the next level of evolution.
Hopefully, I don't know if you've heard, but like, you know, maybe astrologically, I don't know actually where this idea comes from, but in the future, we'll be able to learn from love. You know, right now we learn from pain, and hopefully in the future. And I almost feel like it's starting to happen. We're starting to learn from love. I think coming back home to yourself, we talk about that a lot on this podcast. And I didn't even know, right, that was kind of the third layer. I don't think I knew that was coming from your story. But wow, I mean, we know a lot about that on here.
Yeah, and it's obvious. Like, if you have a podcast, you've done the work. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you know, when I started this podcast is when that realization came to me, where I realized I can't fix other people. And also that's actually a blessing, because how hard is it just to heal ourselves?
Yes, it's not our role. We don't have to save the world. If we can create more love towards ourselves and more compassion, it will ripple out. Totally.
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you like because I think it takes a level of vulnerability and humility to then allow for that even to be seen in a film as well. Like, how did you start to integrate that into what you were creating once you realized, like, whew, there's 3 layers to this? How do I funnel it into one thing, you know?
Yes. It's a great question. I feel that I started to tune out of it going to an audience and started using it as my diary. And I started using it as my way to reflect and journal and process through the pain and the grief of now not only my parents' trauma, but then like betrayal trauma and my own grief, that it was like such medicine for me to do the healing work through creative expression of making the film. And so when I was like, "Ooh!" I'm like, "This is very raw." And I'm like, "Well," I'm like, "Here you go. Good luck, whoever watches it. I hope it comes through." And and I was working with my editor. Also, I had an editor on board that has been instrumental to this process, Sarah Mamouri, and she also was helping me to like unpack and unravel. So I did have that kind of mentorship as well that really helped me to have more courage to talk more openly about my
I
experience.
see. Okay, so you had support and kind of like, yeah, because I imagine you know, when that type of transformation happens, it touches so many aspects of ourselves. You know, it could be hard to like focus on one aspect. Um, and maybe can you let us in a little bit on what it means to find home within yourself? Because you walked us through finding roots elsewhere and then that coming back to self. I think the lens that I may be asking this question through is that we have some listeners that haven't been able to go back home, whether
Okay.
it's because they're DACA recipients, or they're undocumented, right? Or like their parents too, they witnessed that. So I don't know that this will like, you know, answer that question for them, but I think that always is a question in a lot of people's minds. It's like, well, what if I just got to go back home? What if I say fuck this dream, you know, and go back home?
Very hard. I cannot even imagine, like, oof, like what a decision to have to make to be like, is this even worth it? Like, is all of this even, like dealing with all of this
Yeah.
terrible experiences in the US right now? Like, ah, I mean, I think the big thing that really came through was learning to love my full self, and like my authentic expression was essential, and having to do that work with others and learning how to depend on others. And so
Hmm.
what I'm so grateful for is that now I feel like I experience love. Like I really experienced loving relationships that I never got to experience growing up, where I could be showing up tired, sad, angry, and just be like, well, this is me, because I did that
Hmm.
for myself, inside of myself. Like when I was processing through, I was like in full rage, in full grief, like the biggest range of emotions I have ever felt in my life was at this
Yeah.
time of like rock bottom. And because I was still alive, like I was like, oh wait, I survived it. Like feeling the feelings, I'm still here. Like wow, and I didn't have to use food as my coping mechanism, or
Hmm.
other addictions that maybe come up. Um, that it felt like okay, it's possible to love myself in my full storm of all humanness, of my imperfections. And
Yeah.
so learning how to do that, and then learning how to depend on others, and being able to really learn how to lean on others for support was essential. And again, it's in our
Hmm.
nature. That's what we knew how to do in our ancestors, and yet we lost that. So remembering the truth of like what it is like to be able to be open with others, that's the only way through, or else we're
Hmm.
not gonna make it through these tough times. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, the like kind of the imagery that I received is almost like you opened all of these doors that growing up were closed, you know, you
Mhm.
kind of allowed the light to come in. I mean, when you hide, you know, and your parents did it for protection, but like when you're like, we don't talk about it, we don't, you know, like when they kind of have this protector, these protecting walls, you're not able to see through also, you know, you're not able to like let everything in. And so it sounds like you were like opening the windows and the doors to your
Yeah.
own internal home, right?
Wow, that's
And
beautiful. That's so beautiful. Wow. Wow, I
yeah,
love
you
that
let it
so
all in.
much. Yeah, like creating that safety from within. It's not external anymore. Like that how you said about the baby thing of like never feeling safe. And it's like, okay, it can't come from anything outside of ourselves.
We can create it
Wow.
within. And I love that you bring in community too, because I've been learning a lot about that. I always say like, oh, I want to create community, right? And it's like, okay, but community also means leaning on others. Like,
Right.
yes, lean on me, but like, because that's our easy, you know, easy for us. But it's like, can you lean on someone else? Can you know,
Yeah.
let someone else in? And yeah,
Yeah. And realizing that like vulnerability. Yes, and I think the other thing is realizing that vulnerability is the real strength. Like that is where the
Mm.
actual
Mm-hmm.
strength is inside of ourselves. And if we can learn how to be like, wow, I really need help right now, that we rise together in that space. So yes, it's
Yeah.
huge. It's huge.
Woo!
We don't have to be leaders anymore, like this leadership
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
unnecessary.
And I love that, like, we're learning that as we're stepping into leadership. Don't you think?
Right. Right.
Like,
What is the
how
true
cool is
meaning?
that? Because, yeah, we're rewriting like what that actually looks like. It doesn't
Yes.
look like I've got everything figured out, follow me, do this. Like, no, it looks like, what does the community need? What do I need? How do we do this together? And I
Totally.
think that's powerful.
Yes, and so much easier. So
Mm,
much easier. You don't have to be the all wise anymore. Like it's fantastic.
yeah. Woo.
You don't have
I
to
want
do
to ask you something that, as we wrap up part one, that I
Uh-huh.
don't know that you can answer in 10 minutes or 6 minutes we
Okay.
have left,
Okay.
but
Right.
well, just open the conversation.
Uh-huh.
You've walked us through your story and this beautiful kind of journey of this film. I'm wondering, like, how does it all fit in the context of the very probably raw, real stuff you've witnessed, as you now have, let me see how you put it, you mobilize with immigrant and refugee communities nationally.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like you haven't not only gone through this journey for yourself, but now
Mhm.
you're really like boots on the ground, it sounds like, and being in community with different communities who have been through really hard stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how does what you've gone through, what am I trying to ask you? Like,
I
in your
got
mind and in your
it.
existence, you
Mhm.
got it? Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So like how is this funneling into like the direct action mobilization work of like my own personal experience on that? Is that what
Yes.
is that
Yeah, like, how do you hold it and move forward that way, because it's a lot. I mean, like, just your own experience and then witnessing that of others, right? Like, you started off with kind of, even it's a little bit embarrassed, like, oh, I'm privileged, right? And then
Yes.
and then being in community with those that weren't. So I think that, like, yeah, that's coming to mind.
Got it. Yes. I think it's again this whole thing of like the savior complex that is part of colonization and settler colonialism that is false. That it is a power ego. It's rooted in power and
Mm,
ego that we have been also conditioned into. And so for me being able to release that need to save everyone, that everyone is their own wise healer, that it's just being able to be in circles together to unlock and remember that inner ancestral wisdom that we all carry is really a new way of being. And I think that that's the other
okay.
big piece that, of course, I deeply believe in like direct action work and all the things that organizers and folks are doing on the ground is amazing. And I see that the long term change is in each individual doing their own healing work. To
Mm,
realize that, yes, there is another way of being in this world that is not rooted in these emotional walls and having to stuff our feelings, which just continues the cycles of harm and the cycles of violence because we don't know how to process difficult feelings. So we just take it out on the other. And so it's essential to
mm.
do the inner healing work for our entire liberation. It feels so clear for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
so it's holding both. It's almost like the collective and also internally, knowing you're
Yeah.
not responsible for it all, but you are
Right.
responsible for yourself, it sounds like, right?
Yes. 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 That's it.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Mm.
Okay, Muhed, you took us on a journey.
You took
uh,
us. Thank you for taking us there. You guided it. Uh,
yeah, I hope those of you listening enjoyed listening to this and look forward to watching the film whenever it is
thank you.
available for us to see. Something I like to ask all guests is, you have an audience of first gens listening, and it's unique. I think we don't always have us, right, in a collective space like this. So if you could leave them with what I call a mensajito, just a short
Mm.
message, what would that be?
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, I think something that we have to unlearn and relearn is defining what success is for ourselves and realizing that yes, our parents tried so hard to create this container for what they thought was success for us in this, achievement based world. And yet I have come to realize that success is actually what I have two words that came to my heart is more love. And if we can create more love towards ourselves, towards the world, like if that is our standard of what success is by being more love, that's like it's first off, it's like a much more right-sized role for each of us, and it's so much more liberating that we're able to actually do the work that way. And yeah, that's the way, more
Ah,
love.
yes,
Mhm.
that's
Yes,
beautiful.
yes.
Wow. Thank
Mm.
you so much. Do you want to plug your socials? Yeah, where people can follow
Sure.
you.
Yeah, so the film is called Traces of Home. So if anyone wants to get on the mailing list, wants to see it in their own community, or wants a community screening or university screening, they can go to tracesofhome.com. And we're also doing supplementary somatic healing workshops for BIPOC first gen folks. And so that's also an offering that we would love to collaborate with local community orgs with too. And so that would be great. And then my own personal
Ooh.
is Coco's Sanctuary on Instagram.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
well, thank you so much. We are going to be recording a part 2 for you guys, so that will be next week's episode. But thank you for listening. Please share this with your amigas, amigos, amigues, anyone that you think would find listening to something like this helpful. And yeah, remember, First Gen, that I love you, I love me, and I can't wait for you to love yourself. Bye.